Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's gonna be a little bit of a different video. I've been feeling kind of slightly burnt out from all the work that I've been doing recently. So we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're just doing like a chatty get ready with me sit down video because there are some life updates that I want to share with you guys that I usually don't really get to share in my regular everyday videos. So I'm going to start off with that. I will try my best to link all the products that I use in this video down below in the description bar. There may be a couple of new things, but nothing crazy. I'm just more or less getting ready with you guys and doing my everyday makeup routine so that I can film one other YouTube video after this. Transparently, I feel like I've run out of videos to do for the year. My mind is like stretched super freaking thin with all the work that I have to do. So this is what it's come to, apparently. But you guys seem to really like the last chatty get ready with me, especially with the life update aspect. So we're gonna do that because I have some news to share with you guys. I have a brand new monitor, actually. So funny story. I have been wanting a monitor for the longest freaking time to, I guess, work off of. And that's because my camera doesn't have an articulating screen. So like, you know, the screens that you can like pull it from the back and flip forward. I'm using a Canon 5D Mark IV. And because it doesn't have that screen, I never know what my face looks like in the back. I never know if I'm in focus or not. And for the longest time, I really need to get out of the habit of doing this because this is why I got a monitor. I would connect to the Canon app on my phone and use this, but then sometimes I use my phone as like notes too, so I know what I'm going to talk about, and I take pictures of outfits and stuff so I can refer back to them as I'm filming the videos. And every time I exit out of the app to do that, it disconnects me from the camera, and then I have to stop, get up, reconnect. It's a whole hassle and like a big problem. So I really want to get away from doing that, but I don't know. I felt like I had managed for the past 2 years without a screen. What was the need to really get one? I mean, they're not that expensive. The one that I'm using right now is a newer one off of Amazon, and I think it was about like $140 plus another $30 to $40 for batteries because the batteries don't come with it. So I was like, yeah, it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of tech, since I have a lot of tech that's like thousands of dollars. But it's just one of those things that's like more a want than really a need, so I always held off. This year though, Peter decided to get it for me for Christmas. So yes, we have exchanged Christmas gifts already, and because we really like to give each other gifts that are functional, we've gone ahead and opened up our gifts already. He wanted me to be able to use this screen right away. So if you see me looking up, it's because I'm looking at the screen as I'm filming this. I'm gonna have to retrain myself to not look at that screen and to look directly into the lens, so it doesn't look like I'm constantly looking away from you guys when I'm filming videos. But yeah, that's it. I have a brand new screen. That is update number 1 in my life, and I'm really loving it so far. The only downside that I see to it is that I think the ratio of the screen is different to what the camera actually films, and it's kind of like squished it, so my head kind of looks like it's been, yeah, it's like stretched upwards. So it's not an accurate representation as to how my face actually looks on the screen from what the camera's capturing, but that's besides the point. I wanted to sit down today to talk to you guys a little bit about what's been happening in our life, what's been going on. If you guys have watched all the vlogs up until now, then you'll know that we got into like a little collision last week. We got rear-ended as we were driving through downtown Toronto. Took us a little over 3 to 4 days to kind of like more or less resolve the issue. The car has not been fixed yet, for anybody who's curious. We won't be getting it fixed until after the new year. That's essentially it. So we're going to be going back there. So we didn't really have the time to take off to drop the car off at an auto body shop for it to be replaced, and well, not replaced, but for it to be fixed while we're gone. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that in the new year, but that's more or less been resolved. That was one of a headache / nightmare for the past 3 to 4 days or so dealing with it, and I'm just glad we were finally able to get to the end of that. And then once we get it fixed in January, things will be back to normal. Last night, today's the 18th, in case you guys are curious about our timeline, we had to go help Peter's aunt boost her car because her battery died. So I would say it's been like one hell of a learning curve in regards to automobiles recently. Please don't come at me, guys. I am not familiar with cars. I mean, barely even know how to pump gas. I know somebody's gonna take this and spin this into the wrong connotation, but I drive. I have my license, don't worry, I know how to drive. When we're back home, I usually take my parents' car. When we drive, Peter ends up taking our car back to his place and keeping it there with him. But when we're in Ottawa, I tend to take my parents' car out and about when I need to do things. So I do know how to drive. But I also left Ottawa quite early on into having my license. So we only just acquired a car here in Toronto this year. Up until this point, I've never really had to do much maintenance on the car, even like pumping gas. I pumped it like maybe a handful of times before I left Ottawa. And since I only use the car once or twice, usually the gas tank is pretty full when I get to it. So it's never reached a point where it's been empty or like I've used up enough gas that I need to refill it for somebody. So there's that. Interpret that as you see. But this year, I learned all about the process of getting into a collision. Well, I've been in collisions before and had to go through like calling the cops and like going to collision centers and stuff like that. But we've gone through the whole process by ourselves without the help of any of our family really. Reporting it, going through auto body shops, that whole thing. Usually in collisions I've been involved in the past, it's just I've been a passenger or like a witness, and like once the incident has been reported, I just go off and do my own merry thing because it's not my car, so I never had to worry about it. So we learned a lot about that this year. And then I also learned how to boost a car. I feel like these are things that you should just know as a car owner, but you don't know it until you actually practically apply and do it yourself. So not that I would ever wish anybody has to go through these sort of situations, but you learn. And that's essentially the moral of the story here that I'm trying to essentially relay. I learned how to do a lot of that stuff this year, which is great. Next step is to learn how to properly change a tire, because I think that's a very important skill that we should all have, just in case your tire ever blows when you're driving somewhere alone. Not that I ever really drive alone, because usually I'm a passenger and Peter drives me, because we usually go everywhere together. We don't really do a lot of things separately, and there's nothing for me to really do right now outside of the house that doesn't require him. We just do groceries together and errands together. So yeah, that would be the next step for myself to learn how to do those sort of things. That's the dealio with the car at the moment. We also have some other updates in regards to the wedding, which I wanted to share with you guys. So we've actually decided to commit to postponing the wedding again. So we were supposed to get married this year in March, and as you guys know, with the pandemic and everything, that clearly didn't happen, and we pushed it to next year in the hope that when we originally made this decision back in March of this year, I guess the positive mindset was that all of this would be resolved come end of year. Unfortunately, it's not completely resolved yet, but also fortunately, a vaccine has been created and approved and has actually begun being distributed. So I'm very thankful for that. My only concern was that it's not going to be readily and widely available until maybe at least summer or fall of next year. And with already the restrictions being placed on how large wedding parties can be, I just didn't think it'd be worth it for us to even bother having the wedding if we were still restricted to like 50 people. Like our guest list is almost around 200, and that'd be trimming down a lot of people, and there's just so much up in the air that like, what if things get worse and we have to cut down even more, and then people have already agreed to come, and there's all these logistics that go into it that it's just, I didn't think it was worth it for us to really bother even trying to have the wedding next year, because it's too early on into the vaccine. And then even if we were able to have a wedding of 200 people, I would really like for everyone to at least feel comfortable enough to attend the wedding and to not have to feel that they are stressed or anxious if they were to attend a 200-person wedding that they might potentially contract the virus. So we felt that for everyone's safety and comfort levels, it would just be in our best interest to prolong the wedding until the year afterwards. Honestly, Peter and I have already gotten legally married, so on paper, we're married as it is. Nothing's gonna change that. And then I think what we might do is still move forward with our tea ceremony in May of 2021, the first date that we had pushed to, just because that we can control and that doesn't involve a lot of people, maybe like 50 people max. But since it's not a process that involves everybody being there at the same time, we can have like a rolling door. X amount of people come into the house, do what they need to do, and then leave. So it's a very easily controlled manner. There's not like crazy partying, dancing, laughing, hugging, that sort of thing involved. It's just very procedural, which is what we want to do. So we're gonna carry on with that. And the main concern for us was that we don't even know if down the road our grandparents are going to be around in 2 years from now to be here, to be present at our actual celebratory wedding. That's what we're gonna call it, our celebratory wedding, because it's kind of just like a celebration at that point. So we prioritize a tea ceremony, and we're gonna be going ahead with doing that this year. So that is the update on that. The wedding itself, like I said, has been pushed till 2022. We've unfortunately had to go into June because all the dates that we wanted in May are no longer available. And you know what? I think like everybody's rushing to secure their wedding dates now anyway. Since this past year was so chaotic to begin with, and there already were weddings booked that everyone who has to rebook is now considering days they're gonna get, yada yada, that whole sort of thing. So we have pushed the wedding until 2022. That being said, it's also going to be pushing things such as like our bachelorette party and bachelor party. I think that's mainly it. I don't think there's much else. We don't do stag and does. That's not in the realm of what we were interested in doing. I've already had my my bridal shower. Mel did that actually earlier this year in, I think it was January. Yeah, January. You guys may have definitely seen that video. If you haven't, I'll link it above somewhere so you can watch that. But other than that, that's essentially the big excitement for next year. I don't know if we'll even have our own weddings to attend next year of our friends, to be honest, because a lot of them are also on the fence as to whether or not they want to continue. So I will keep you updated on that. But I feel like next year is, although so much is up in the air, at least we have kind of like an end in sight so we know what to expect coming year, and it's not going to be a complete shit show for us. That was a lot of talking before I got to actually doing eyeshadow. It's because I've been unboxing some brand new brushes that Nara sent in for me, so I want to give a shot at because I need to wash some of my brushes before I bring them home to Ottawa, and I don't really want to wash them before I leave, so we'll see. This will give me an excuse to try some new brushes, and then I can delay my washing until a later time of the new brushes. But these are really, really soft and I like them. In other news, I think because we're going to delay the wedding, we might begin to go house hunting next year. We've had enough of living in a condo. We love our building. The concierge and the management team are phenomenal. They're absolutely amazing, but the size of our condo for the past 5 years has always been a topic of discussion for us. Our condo is about 660 square feet, and at first when we first moved in, it wasn't that bad, but split between 2 people, a dog, already working fully from home, but then mix that in with a pandemic where you can't even leave the house whenever you want to or have reasons to leave the house, such as attending events. And then you've kind of got a recipe for, I guess, just like stress overall. We both felt like we need a lot more space to ourselves. We love spending time with each other, and don't get me wrong, but I think we both would enjoy a little bit of privacy. Like Peter's desk / office space is currently right in the smack dab of the middle of the living room, and I know for a fact that he would rather have his own little office so he can work in silence and not have me constantly walking around and bothering him, and just so that it's a little quieter for him as well. My office is nice. I get the den just because I have a lot of stuff. However, the problem is that I have a lot of stuff and there's not a lot of space. And because it's a den, there's no natural light in there. And honestly, I feel like I just live in a cave sometimes, and it's so demoralizing to work in there. I just get so uninspired. I would rather have a house and like a full-on office room that we could work in. I would even be open to creating an office space that we share together, as long as it's removed from the rest of the house and it's somewhere that you can go to close the door, do your work, and then just work in silence. I think that's what we both need, with a little bit of natural lighting. That was my biggest thing. I want some sunlight. So there's that. I also think that because there's so little that you can do in Toronto right now too, and primarily that was the reason I was drawn to Toronto to begin with when we first moved down here, was because that there's such like a vibrant lifestyle. There's so many interesting restaurants that you can go to, things to see, stuff to do, that I was really drawn towards that. But there's no events anymore. You can't really do a lot of shopping in stores. So many of our favorite restaurants have already closed down, which is really, really unfortunate. I'm really sad to see them go. But I just don't feel like there's a lot for us here anymore. And the real estate market is just so inflated to the point where it's almost unattainable to acquire a house here, that I think we're contemplating maybe moving out of the city just to get a larger square footage for a better price value if we were going to buy a house. But obviously I will keep you guys updated on that. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to do like a house hunting vlog series. We can definitely include that, and and to also provide like our experience looking for a house, how we did it, what you would need to know before going into like hunting for a house. I know a lot of people have already produced videos like that on their accounts, but I think it'd be nice to show my perspective as well, just to give you guys a different sort of, I guess, idea of as to how it went for us. So areas that we're open to purchasing in, obviously Toronto, if we could stay downtown and get a house within the price range that we're happy with, then that would be the ideal case. However, we're not open. However, we are open to leaving the city, but we're not necessarily like going anywhere far. I mean, like Markham is out of Toronto. That's like GTA. Not really Toronto exactly, so that could be an option. I love Markham. The food is great. I don't know if I want a house there per se. It's just still very, I like suburbia, but I didn't want like cookie cutter suburbia, and I don't think I have currently the access to the finances to create a custom house. I would like a house with a little bit more character. The house doesn't need to be brand new for me. It's funny because as a child, I grew up thinking that I would only ever want a house if it was 100% brand new to me. Like I felt disgusted that we would have to live in somebody else's house that they had previously lived in. It just freaked me out a little bit. I don't know, something to do with like ghosts and whatnot. So I was like, nope, not doing that. But now I'm just like, I actually like older houses. I feel like there's a little bit of character to them. So totally down with that. So we're looking into areas such as like Markham, potentially Mississauga, because Peter has some family that lives there. So it would be nice to be surrounded and close by to family, especially for in the future once we start family planning and we have kids. We can look to them for support and help. We're also looking into Hamilton as well, which is about like 45 minutes to an hour away from Toronto. I know Hamilton gets such a bad rep from people from being so far away, but I go there quite frequently to visit my cousins, and it's actually not that bad. Like, it literally takes you an hour to drive from one end of Toronto to the other anyways, and sometimes even coming in from, say, like the core to where I live, which is right on the outskirts of the core. If you guys are familiar with Liberty Village, King West, that's roughly where I am. That in itself takes like half an hour to 45 minutes. So I'm just like, Hamilton's not that far away. Really, it's not. The housing prices there are a little bit more affordable and realistic for what we want to work with for our starter home. Like, I'm not trying to jump in and have $1 million house or $1 million plus house. There are many, many beautiful homes there that are like 600-700, which I think is much more affordable within the price range of what we're looking at. And seeing as it's going to be a starter house of ours, we want to be able to have enough money on the side to also do some renos after we purchase the house. I'm not trying to sink all my money into the direct purchase itself, which is why we're looking into there. Also because my cousins live there too, so that's another incentive to buy a house there so that we can also once again be close to family once we have kids in the future. I think we're both at the age now where we're thinking about what our future is going to look like with children and when we want to start having children. So it's really important that all future decisions that I make kind of revolve around that, just because they become a very important fixture in your life. I mean, you can't return children, they're yours once you have them. So you have to make sure that every decision that you're making, if it involves them, is what you want for your permanent life in the future too. So yeah, we are definitely looking into location for where we want to have kids and how we want to raise them. But like I said, if we could find a place in Toronto, that would be ultimately ideal. So there's that on the kid front update. I think that's more or less it for a lot of my personal stuff that I want to share with you guys on this video. I'll do another like, oh shit, this is why I should not be applying eyeliner when I'm on camera. My hand is like never steady and I really just fucked up that application. Oops. BRB, I'm gonna go fix that. Okay, I'm back. I know that looks okay in person, but it looks pretty freaking bad to me in the mirror. So we're just gonna ignore the fact that I just completely wrecked my eyeshadow and move on to do my brows and then my lips because she's looking bad. Note to self to never do my eyeliner when I'm talking to a camera. I can look at the camera, I just can't talk because when I talk, I move my mouth a lot. I don't know how all these other beauty gurus do it. Props to them because I cannot do this. So I posted a video on my account the other day. Essentially, I was wearing a mask and I was saying how I was excited that the vaccine has been approved. It started shipping and is now being distributed internationally. I think Britain had a very big inoculation for essential workers and just like long-term healthcare workers. Canada just started, I believe, also receiving deliveries. They were giving out vaccinations as well. Anyways, long story short, my post was just saying I was excited that vaccines have been approved and they're coming, and I'm definitely going to be getting one once I'm available and eligible for one. And then I said also as well that I've actually kind of grown to like my mask because I've been wearing it so much over the past like 9 months or so that it just feels like a norm now, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Also, if we're gonna have to wear a mask, why not wear a cute one? So I've acquired quite a couple of cute ones. I got some really nasty messages. I guess somebody in the anti-masking and COVID denier community stumbled upon my account, saw the post, decided to reshare it in their stories, and it just blew up. I was sitting there quietly working at my desk, and then out of nowhere, I got an onslaught of notifications on Instagram of people calling me uneducated, stupid, I didn't understand the dangers behind vaccines, and just like blowing my post up, reposting it into their stories as well. Like, I don't know, was my post posted into some sort of like Facebook group where people could tear me apart? I'm very confused about that. If you guys are aware of it, let me know. They all seem to be American people who are commenting who are having an issue though, because they started saying certain things about like Fauci, their legalities, the whole spiel of having their freedoms taken away from them, and I'm like, none of this stuff that you guys are saying really applies to me because I live in Canada, so I don't know what you're yelling at me for. Anywho, long story short, it turned into a complete shit show. I had to eventually turn off comments on that post just because there's a lot of misinformation being passed around there that I didn't want impressionable eyes to potentially land on, read it, and to be, I guess, misled. And then they got angry that I turned my comments off, so they started DMing me. And then for the past like 3 to 4 days, I've had a select few individuals continuously DM and message me and try to convince me that vaccines are terrible, it's been produced too quickly, they would rather get COVID than get the vaccine. And I'm just like, honestly, I don't have the patience for this. I barely have time to sleep for myself, let alone attack people online. Like, what happened to the days where if you didn't like what you saw, you just scrolled past it? Like, why do people feel so incensed to leave a nasty, rude, mean comment? And I wasn't forcing anybody to get the vaccine, nor was I telling anybody to get the vaccine, but people seem to take the post into personal offense and they decide to share it and to leave nasty comments. It's funny because these trolls and haters don't realize that they're inadvertently helping me every time they share a post. You are essentially engaging with it and telling the algorithm that you like my content. So the algorithm doesn't know any better if you're just like blasting me or calling me out for something, or if you're just sharing my content because you genuinely like it. So for me, it actually boosts up my algorithm and engagement levels, and it's actually beneficial to me. So when they say like any news is good news, they aren't wrong. I got really, really good engagement on my post that day, and my views on my stories like shot up exponentially. So I just want to say, if any of you trolls are out there who left me a comment, thank you for helping my page grow that day. It was due to you that I got a lot of growth that day. So yeah, food for thought. If you guys are ever mad at somebody and you want to troll them, just know that anytime you comment or engage with their content, you're actually helping them out. You're not really doing much of a detriment to them. And I feel that a lot of people don't really see or understand or think of that, and they just instantly think that they're going to tear someone down publicly. Like, just don't do any internet bullying to begin with. It's not nice. But also realize that you're being counterproductive to your cause and you're actually helping that person by giving them more engagement. So there is that. I've had so many discussions with other people who don't share my views, who have had like adverse reactions to other vaccines in the past, unable to get vaccines, that sort of thing. And they've been pretty nice. They've been respectful and they've listened to my side. They've discussed about their side as well. And I can really respect that. I totally get that not everybody has the exact same viewpoints on everything in life and we don't always have to match. Just don't come at me and belittle my degree and tell me that I'm stupid and I don't know anything, especially when I have a science degree and I literally studied virology for half of my degree, and then half these people who are coming to me like don't even have any formal education, experience, or training in the field. So I'm just like, but you're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about on a specific topic that I literally studied, but I should believe you when you have zero experience in it. Like, I'm just like, what? Anyways, those are the people that really annoyed me. The rest of them were nice. We had some interesting conversations. We agreed to disagree, and then we left it at that. So I can respect those people. That's what I went to say. Anywho, that is the look done for today. I hope you guys enjoyed following and watching this video for a little chatty get ready with me and kind of getting a little bit of a life update as to what's going on in my life right now. I know I show quite a bit of this stuff in my vlogs, but I don't really get to go into depth to discuss these things typically. So just want to share some changes and life updates with you guys. I hope you guys are currently enjoying all of Vlogmas and having a very safe and happy holidays. If you guys want to see more of me, you can check me out on Instagram right here. And I also have a TikTok account over here as well too. So if you guys are not tired of me on YouTube already, you can watch me over there. Otherwise, I hope you guys are having an amazing day and I will see you guys in the next Vlogmas video. Bye.